What's up, everyone? I'm Matt Verlaque, fireman turned SaaS founder and the COO of SaaS Academy. In this video, I'm going to walk through the exact framework that I use to run a quarterly planning session over Zoom that's going to have your team ready to run through walls. If you caught my last video on how to nail your next quarter, you've already got the basic approach. If you haven't seen it, go check it out because it's freaking awesome. But that's like the high level stuff. And what I'm delivering to you here is the actual format, the nuts and bolts of how to spend this time together in a productive way. I went years without having this dialed in. And the result was that we would leave these quarterly planning sessions with big aggressive goals and a whole stack of confusion on like how we were going to get there, who was responsible for what, and when we should start to see results. What I realized over the years, though, is that alignment is the precursor to speed. So the time that you spend up front getting your whole team on the same page is what's going to let your team leave the planning session at a dead sprint, and it's what's going to give you confidence that your team is all sprinting in the same direction. So I decided to take that format and give it to the world in this video. Make sure you stay all the way to the end because I'll tell you how to grab a copy of the exact template that I use to run these sessions today. Step 1, you got to build alignment. Look, I run this whole meeting on a shared Google Doc that everybody can write in. So imagine as we walk through this that you're on a call with your team and everyone is collaborating in the same place. I start by building alignment with a simple kickoff exercise. I list out everybody on the call and I have them complete 4 simple questions. Number 1, what's the best news from the last quarter? Number 2, what is currently working inside the business? Number 3, what is not currently working in the business? And then number 4, what are your expectations for this time together? I'll usually put on some like lo-fi music and I'll give people about 5 minutes to jot down their answers, and then we'll go around the room and discuss what we wrote down. Step 2, review the plan. If you've got revenue and profit targets from the CEO or the exec team, now is the place to review them. Like, how are we tracking against our goals? What are we learning? Where are we struggling? In larger companies especially, you're going to also want to create some space for the people on the call to ask questions. There's a ton of value in having some room for team leaders and individual contributors to be able to understand how the CEO or the executives are thinking about certain problems or areas of the business. I promise you, like, transparency will win every single time. Step 3, review prior performance. First things first, take a few minutes and just pull up the key numbers that the team on the call is responsible for and just do a quick review. How's the current quarter going? How does it compare to last quarter? How are we trending year over year? You just want to make sure that the team knows how they're performing because that's going to drive how they make future decisions. Look, these first 3 steps, building alignment, reviewing the goals, and reviewing prior performance, they're all designed to make sure that everyone's on the same page. The setup here is incredibly important, but with that out of the way, now we can get down to business, planning the upcoming quarter. Step 4, list out the key issues. This is where the real work starts, and it's part art and part science. First things first, go back and like put some tunes on, put about 10 minutes on the clock, just have everyone inside that Google Doc write down what they think the key issues are in their area of the business that they want to discuss and work on. This list is almost always going to be bigger than what you can accomplish in a quarter, and that's totally okay because your job as the facilitator of this call is to look for the trends inside these issues, right? Grab the different issues that are related, group them together, stack rank them in order of impact, and just like whittle this list down to the most important things that you need to work on. There's also a key question that I ask after I start condensing this list and order it. I ask the whole team to look at it and I say, look, if we only cover the items on this list that I created, is there anyone here who feels like their issues are not being addressed? And you want to keep beating that list up until the team's on board, everyone feels seen and heard, and then you can start digging into each issue. Step 5, find the quarterly rocks. I love this principle from EOS, and it's this idea that each team or each leader can only really have 3 big rocks per quarter. I also use the constraint of 1 new, 2 improvements, which means that we should only be working on 1 net new initiative per quarter so we don't split our focus too much. As you work down this key issues list, all you got to do is just flag the issues that are likely going to turn into quarterly rocks for the people on the call, knowing that your goal is no more than 3 per person. If this is done right, by the time you get to the bottom of the list, the most important things to work on will have revealed themselves, and everyone will know exactly why they're important and what they should look like by the end of the quarter. The last step that I take to refine these quarterly rocks is I assign 1 key metric per initiative, so that way we know what winning actually looks like. How you measure is important because effort and results are not the same thing. So once you get the quarterly rocks identified and the metrics you'll use to define success, the lion's share of the work is done, and you pretty much know what you got to do in the upcoming 12 weeks. Step 6, the closing exercise. It's the same format as the opener, right? But I ask 3 key questions to wrap this call up. Number 1, what's something that you learned or discovered during the call? Number 2, were your expectations met relative to what you said you wanted to get out of it in the beginning? And number 3, don't skip this part, rate the meeting 1 to 10, and what would you upgrade next time? That's the format. It's simple, but not easy. So look, if right about now you're saying to yourself, holy shit, that sounds like a long Zoom call, well, it is. But it's not a problem as long as you put in the time to truly become a master facilitator. So I'll give you a few tips on what this means. Tip number 1, have some music at the ready. I prefer like lo-fi instrumental kind of music. I share my computer audio and I flip the tunes on anytime there's some heads down time on the call, like when you're filling out your key issues list. Tip number 2, you gotta time box the discussions. I plot out how much time each section is supposed to take. I write it down in the agenda, and then I hold the team to it. Your job as the owner of this call is to keep things on track so you don't go over time. Tip number 3, schedule breaks, ideally like 5 to 10 minutes long, no more than 90 minutes apart. Encourage people to get some sunshine, like go outside for a minute. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to have breaks in there. The better of a facilitator you become, the more value you can get out of this time together. It is absolutely a skill worth developing, especially if you're a remote first company. So let's review real quick. Here are the 6 key elements of a killer quarterly planning session. Number 1, build the alignment. Run the opening exercise to get expectations out in the open up front. Step number 2, review the plan. Make sure everyone knows the goals and give them some space to ask some questions. Step 3, review prior performance. Everyone should know how the current quarter is shaping up and whether or not it's better or worse than the quarter and the year prior. Step 4, list out the key issues. Have everybody on the call drop their list in the doc of things that we need to work on, group them up, and stack rank them based on impact. Step 5, find the quarterly rocks. No more than 3 per leader, 1 new, 2 improvements. That's about what someone's going to be able to accomplish in a quarter, and make sure you know how you're going to measure success with at least 1 KPI for each quarterly rock. And then step 6, the closing exercise. Just gives you a gut check on like how did you do running the meeting, if everyone feels like they know what's expected, and how you can do better next time. I hope this video opens your mind to the fact that not only can you run a quarterly planning session over Zoom, but you can make it freaking awesome. If you want my template in a Google Doc, just go to my website, mattverlaque.com. It's on there. You can download it for free, grab it, use it, go do some amazing work. If these kind of deep dives are resonating with you, I'd also love to drop them straight into your inbox. So you can join my newsletter, mattverlaque.com/newsletter. I'll drop them off every Thursday morning, hot off the press. Aside from that, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything awesome. Leave me a comment if this video resonated, and I will see you next week. Peace.